Right. Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
Too soon. Good morning. Good morning. I'm a little frazzled today, but
Did you get some real coffee?
I know. But maybe this. Let's see if it's better. Maybe it'll go better if I don't have the caffeine.
I know everybody's looking concerned. Who do we send for real coffee if it starts going really bad? Because this is a long agenda.
Okay. Okay. Looks like I got the thumbs up from the back room. Good morning, everyone. Chain's giving me the thumbs up. Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, and we'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. Our meeting is live streamed, and you can join us online by going to our website. Other viewing options are available on tctvonline.com. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned off. Thank you. Welcome everybody in the room. We got a nice full room. Please sign the guest list if you're here, and we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Bell, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Public comment. Debbie, do we have anybody for public comment? Nobody for public comment. We'll move on to there's no non-agenda items. We're going to begin with presentations and reports. Agenda item number 5 is our employee recognition for March 2026, continuous years of service. Kelly Fulton, Human Resource Technician. She's here this month because last month, wasn't it your anniversary? Yes.
Yes, big 5.
Fantastic. Thank you for your service.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is time to recognize the county employees having anniversaries this month and thank them for their continued service. Our county team is made up of many great individuals, and here are the people we celebrate in March. Chris Kiola, Community Development, 20 years.
He's in the back
He's in
doing
the
this.
room. Yes, thank you for joining us.
You're the big cheese. Chase Ross, the Sheriff's Department, 16 years. Rachel Haggerty, Board of Commissioners.
What?
11 years.
Ooh.
Woohoo!
Cross that one out.
Troy Jackson, Sheriff's Office, 10 years. Tara Stevens, Health Department, 10 years. Rocky Phillips, Health Department, 7 years. Anna Mitchell, Health Department, 7 years. David Bartlett, Sheriff's Office, 6 years. Nick Torres, Veteran Services, 6 years. Cassie Smilek, Health Department, 5 years. Belinda Bentley, Assessors, 4 years. Megan Bird, Health Department, 4 years. Alicia Walker, Community Development, 3 years. Donald Jungling, Sheriff, 3 years. Brandon Longenecker, Sheriff, 2 years. Brian Ollie, Public Works, 2 years. And Aaron Warbington Hall in the Health Department at 2 years. So congratulations.
Fantastic. Thank you. Comments? Commissioner Bell.
Oh, I love this observance every month. It's so meaningful to be able to reflect on the longevity of our employees and the value that they bring, which is tremendous. The list that you just read is extraordinary. Starting in our own office, of course, Rachel is. I'll tell a short story. Before Rachel, we had Paul Levesque. And widely throughout the county, Paul Levesque was the chief of staff, and he was understood to be the brain trust of the county. Like people in the community, including me, thought, what would the county ever do without Paul Levesque? And it was kind of a terrifying thought, like, what would they do? And Paul recruited Rachel, and Rachel fills those shoes beautifully. And we're just so very fortunate to have her. She's extraordinary. And now I feel the same way about Rachel. Like, what would we ever do? And so I'm so very grateful for your service. You're welcome. And Chris, it's delightful to have you in the room celebrating your 20 years. Thank you so much. You are a community leader in several ways, and it's really, yeah, the big eyes, but truly, and it's we're deeply grateful for your service, and I could go on, but I won't.
I would suggest that what has been said of those who are in the room could be said, I think, of everyone on this list. The county, and I always say this, but the county doesn't make widgets. The county provides public service, and every single person on this list is integral to that public service, and they bring to it just an amazing set of skills and passion, and we really appreciate all of our employees. They are the county.
I agree with both of you, and I will also say this, I think, we recently got an email where someone basically made it sound like you can't be fiscally sound and be people first for your employees, and I completely disagree with that. I think we're showing that we are doing both. Me personally, being a retired deputy, seeing all these sheriff employees is fantastic. It's such a tough climate for getting people to become police officers or to keep people here. I'm looking at some of these names. One, I didn't know Jim Jungling's name was Donald. And no, I didn't know that. His nickname used to be Goob. And I remember when he helped me paint my garage when he was like 14 years old. Because
I'm sure he'll appreciate
he will appreciate that publicly.
Yeah, thanks for putting that on
And I
TV.
look at this Chase Ross, 16 years. I remember training him, and now he's just been promoted to sergeant. So for me, it just shows that how important these people are to us. Everybody on the list is. I'm just so grateful that they've stuck around for a while, including Chris. 20 years. Were you like 12 when you started?
No, but I heard there'd be a gold watch given.
No, because we're fiscally responsible. Can't do that. All right. Thank you so much, Kelly, for doing that. All right, we'll move on to real business, I guess. Wait. No, first is Tillamook County Financial Report with Deborah Jacob, Director of Financial Services, and our treasurer. Half the room left.
Good morning. I'm
Morning.
so sorry. Let me pull it up real quick.
I was going to say, is there anything in there? Just decaf. Huh?
It's decaf. It's bad.
Just mentally tell yourself it's coffee.
That's okay. I've had 2 cups already. We're good.
Sorry, mine's decaffeinated tea. It
Is
wouldn't
it?
help you either because I've already had my 2 cups of coffee.
Okay. Apologies. I was ready to go on the supplemental budget and I didn't have the financial report pulled up.
No worries.
Okay. This covers the period of July 1, 2025 to January 31st, 2026. It also includes an update on our state timber revenue through February 13th. First, we had strong revenues in the property tax area. We were above where we were at the prior year last year. State timber revenue through February 13th, we received $3.9 million overall so far this fiscal year. We have one more quarter to receive, so that is our full budgeted amount for timber. Again, with timber, we do want to say that we can't always rely on timber being a good year, but this happens to be looking good this year so far. As we move along, really every category of revenue is looking pretty good so far to this point in the fiscal year. It is outpacing where we were at this point last year at the same time. Our ending fund balance was $15.29 million, which was $2 million above where we were this year at the same time, last year at the same time, sorry. Part of that being, a major portion being our transfers from Parks to General Fund that we did not have at this time last fiscal year. It is also the timber revenue. It is 1.7 million above where it was last year at this point. So those are our 2 main driving factors. Our expenses are at $16 million for this fiscal year to date. It is well under budget pace for this point in the fiscal year. That is mainly due to, again, our ongoing vacancies at around 10%. We continue at that level amount as we have for the last about 2 years. I do expect that the amount under budget will be tightened as we move forward throughout this fiscal year. We saw that in January with the implementation of our new pay tables, market adjustments, COLA, that we had an increase of 200,000 in the general fund in January. That included retro, so it won't be that high as we move along, but it will tighten our budget gap as we move forward. For the quarterly forecast, with all of that combined, we are looking like we end the fiscal year in the green as we planned, as we budgeted for, a little higher than we had initially projected. As we move out into 28, 29, we do see that deficit again as we expect timber to not come in as high, and as we look forward and revenue stabilization transfer is no longer available to us. So again, I think at the risk of repeating myself, we're looking good this fiscal year. We do need to keep in mind that budget deficit as we move forward, as we look ahead and plan for timber years and revenue stabilization and policy around those.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Bell?
We've had the opportunity to hear the updates previously, but I'm very grateful for these regular updates, and I'm particularly grateful that this one is encouraging. It was listening to you talk today, I was thinking, I'm so glad that you are in this job and that we're doing these regular updates, and it really feels like progress for the county, so thank you.
Thank you.
I agree with my colleague, appreciate very much your work, and we'll look forward to what comes next. Hopefully it will be a big final quarter timber payment that can push us into being able to refund, if you will, our revenue stabilization, because that would give us just a little bit more breathing room as we move forward over these next couple of years, as we've talked about.
Agreed. Yeah.
I'm going to say a little bit more. One, I appreciate, I just appreciate your view on this stuff. Like, I understand, I think you're pragmatic, but you're a realist, but you also have a little bit of optimism in you, and I appreciate that. And it's really, I believe optimism drives things. When I think about this, I was writing this down, and the timber revenues are up. We budgeted less. I want to say that a lot of the work that our departments are doing, that we've done as a board, that you've done from every department has gotten the note, has gotten the word, and we're stronger now because of that. Timber and even tourism, they're both volatile industries that we have to rely on. They are what we have, and what we do by investing in both of them. And timber, we can't control people buying trees, but what we can do is advocate, and we advocate the state and federal level to keep those trees available for harvest. And I think that's part of what our job here is. And then with the tourism, I like tourism only because I think we can control the growth, but we can also influence increasing that revenue source for the county to help with other services. Also advocating at the state level when we need to. So I'm excited. I love these things. I wouldn't love them as much if they were really, really dire, but I think it's great for you to remind us every time, like, hey, this is okay, but we need to do more. We need to all of us need to keep our eye on the ball and keep working hard at this. So anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Move on to the consent calendar. This is consideration of an annual liquor license renewal application for Nestucco Valley Sporting Goods.
I move approval of the consent calendar.
A second.
Hearing a motion in a second, I'll call for any further discussion. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Moving on to our legislative and administrative agenda. Agenda item 8, consideration of a Oregon Health Authority 2026-2027 intergovernmental agreement number 44300-00054-301 for the financing of community mental health programs. Amanda Bunger, Executive Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Good morning. I feel like you're here every week now. It's wonderful.
I know. I really try hard to make it in person
We
so I
appreciate
can see you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no
That's
problem. So I am here today because, like most community mental health programs, we have many braided funding sources, and the county financial assistance agreement through Oregon Health Authority is one of the bigger ones, and that is what we're talking about today. These dollars primarily ensure that TFCC is able to provide all safety net services to our community. So that includes crisis, that includes substance use and mental health treatment. And these dollars are used so that all of our core services, those that are needed in times of, like I said, crisis, are available to all of our citizens in the community. So that's why I'm here today.
Fantastic.
So this is the long-awaited agreement.
Yes,
This
it
is the
is.
long-awaited agreement. So if you've been following our meetings and watching regularly, you will know we've talked about this agreement for the last 4 years, maybe 6 years. And we've been waiting on this agreement since, for this particular version, it was supposed to be in July, and of course that didn't happen, and we've been negotiating. And so finally, the state and the counties as a whole came to an agreement which allowed these to come forward to be finalized. The state had wanted to pull some really important language around funding that basically said that we would be responsible, we being the county, because the Board of Commissioners sit as the mental health authority. So in Tillamook County, we've made the choice to subcontract our work to Tillamook Family Counseling Center, but that does not remove the responsibility of the county to ensure that these services are available in adequate amount. So there had always been a clause in the contract that essentially said as funds allow, and the state decided they didn't want that clause in the contract. They just wanted us to sign that we promised to do it no matter what. And so that set off a fairly long negotiation period, if you will, to get us to this point. So we're here, we have negotiated, there is language that softens that according to all the attorneys. They still did not put that back, but did something softening. So we are now ready to move forward. So I appreciate the patience of everyone in this. I appreciate the patience of TFCC, waiting and wondering as our subcontractor when and if the county would bless the agreement. So we are happy to do that.
Great. Mr. Bill?
I'm also supportive and grateful that we're at this point, and grateful for the advocacy, because to Commissioner Scar's point, we really, it would not have been in our best interest to sign the original. So I think this is a good place to be.
I agree, and I support it as well, so I'm ready for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, in consideration of Oregon Health Authority 2026-2027 Intergovernmental Agreement number 44300-000-54301 for the financing of community mental health programs, I move approval.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Amanda.
Amanda.
See you next week. Bring caffeinated coffee next time. Okay, moving on to agenda item 9. Consideration of a personnel request for a new regular full-time accounting manager for the sheriff's office is Sheriff Joshua Brown, not Matt Kelly. Welcome, sir. Good morning.
Thank you. I'm not sure why you had to say my name like that, but okay, I'm kidding. I apologize. I'm still a little bit hoarse if you heard me on the radio yesterday, but I'm definitely better. So this morning I'm coming before you for a requisition for a new accounting manager position at the sheriff's office. I believe you guys have a copy of that form. What I'm specifically requesting is for approval for the accounting manager position, as well as my appointment of Karen Kronoff to that position at step 2 on that pay scale. And to just kind of explain this a little bit, just prior to me being sheriff, the accounting position within the office was an accounting manager. At the time, it was only part-time. Recognizing the need for more, there was a request put in order to get a full-time accounting position. And due to budgetary constraints, what was given at that time, or what was approved, was an accounting technician 2. I think Karen was either the first or second hire that I actually had as a new sheriff. And since then, that position has been, evolving, because it was the first time it was a full-time position. And that position has grown, and the workload and the duties of that position are quite large. In fact, we recently took on the opioid grant, I believe I think you were probably pretty familiar with that. It was the hospital. It ended up coming over to us, and we're kind of the overseer of it. And it sounds like there's actually more to what we're doing than what I originally agreed to, but it sounds like it's a good thing. But guess who's taking care of all that? It's Karen, you know, so that's an additional duty that was never part of it, but she's great at it. She took it on. And so she does that. So the responsibilities are continuing to grow. During the job classification study, it was recognized that the accounting tech 2 position was not quite appropriate. During that time, I did talk or have discussions about trying to convert it to an accounting manager position, but what at the time was deemed most appropriate was to create an accounting technician 3 position, a new position. You know, basically recognizing that the accounting tech 2 position was not right for the workload. You know, as this thing grows, I still wholeheartedly believe that the accounting manager position, especially when you look at the job descriptions, is by far the most fitting classification for that position within the sheriff's office. When I was requesting it earlier, the timing just was not right, and so it didn't work out. It seems as if there's an opportunity again to have that discussion, which is why I'm bringing this forth today. The steps I took in preparation for this, first thing I did is I contacted HR and to try to determine some things, because it was negotiated that she start at step 4 on the accounting technician 3 position. March 16th is her anniversary date, so I was confirming how that was all going to work out, because she recently started at that step, and HR confirmed that she will be getting her annual step increase on March 16th. Why this is important is because that next step that she will be going to is actually 20 or so cents an hour more than the accounting manager position, step 1, which would also be why I'm requesting step 2. I believe a promotion, when you promote somebody, they, you know, historically as well as rightfully so, move up a step at minimum. So there's the reason for the step 2. Next thing I did is I contacted Deborah, our treasurer, and I had ran some numbers, but I needed to confirm it with her. She also ran some numbers, and in the next fiscal year, it would be less than, I believe she said less than 4, but you know, certainly less than 5,000 overall for next budget year, and we both agree that that can easily be absorbed within our budget. So the fiscal impact is, you know, negligible compared to, basically we can absorb it. She confirmed it, that it was something we can do. Final step that I did is I sent the requisition to Rachel. I think you're still acting HR director. And just to run it past her, there's a plate to make sure, you know, that we filled those signatures. Rachel was able to sign it, return it to me. In her email, she confirmed that Karen does meet the minimum qualifications for the accounting manager position. So I hope that I've checked all the boxes on things that are necessary. As I mentioned, her anniversary date is the 16th. She'll get that step increase. I originally was in my mind believing that March 16th was an appropriate and logical effective date because of that. There is some outside things going on, and so the actual effective date, I may work with Rachel and Deborah to determine what that effective date is. I just want to ensure that we do have a date locked in, and we'll do that through the PAF process. But essentially, this is my ask, and I think that's all my notes say. But basically, I'm asking for approval for the new accounting manager position as well as my appointment. You know, step 2 is the appropriate step. The actual effective date, I will work with Rachel and Deborah because of the outside stuff that's happening. So
Great. Well, as a liaison,
I just had something to add. So
Sure.
thank you for that thorough report, and I really appreciate your due diligence on all of it. Just to be clear, the board is considering the position itself, not the appointment. So the board, the HR team works with the sheriff on the placement of the step in accordance with our current pay practices. So I think he's on the right track, and we'll work on that, but the board doesn't need to discuss, unless you would like to, the appointment date or the step of the employee that's slated to go into the position.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bell, you're the liaison.
Yes, I had the opportunity to talk with the sheriff about this. I agree with him completely. I think the the work that's being done is appropriate to the manager position, and I think Karen is the perfect person to do it. She's doing a great job, not only for the sheriff's office, but also for the treasurer's office, filling in, helping out. I think she's invaluable and it has terrific potential to grow, and so I'm supportive of her growing in her career and in her position, and I appreciate you advocating for her, and I fully support it.
Excellent.
Sounds like all the boxes have been checked and that really for us, it's just approving the position, which I'm happy to do. And my only clarifying question is, will the other position be backfilled or is this just,
No,
you're gonna just have one accounting manager?
just one accounting position in the.
That's what I thought I
Yes.
understood, but just to
Yep.
clarify, so.
Great. Well, I have a little more to say on this. I was there when I was an account manager. I just want to say that I agree with what's been said. I appreciate that presentation. It was great. Yeah, Karen is the amount of work, and we all know what happened with the grant reporting and how much thing. The sheriff's office is the largest budget within the general fund. It only makes sense to have an account manager there helping to prepare reports and make sure everything's accurate. I appreciate that she's been helping out with the treasurer's office. I spoke with Deborah today, and she's the perfect person for this job, and I'm glad to see that you advocated for her as well. So I support it. So I'm ready for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair. In consideration of a personnel requisition for a new regular full-time accounting manager for the sheriff's office, I move approval.
I second.
Hearing a motion in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff. All right, moving on to agenda item 10. Consideration of professional services agreement number 25/26-010 with Synergy Health and Wellness for WI for the WIC Nutritionalist and Training Supervisor Services. Marlene Putnam, Administrator, Health and Human Services. Good morning, Marlene.
Good morning. Yes, this is a contract that we see roughly, every year, sometimes 2 years, depending upon the availability and agreement with our contractor, Synergy Health and Wellness. So just by way of a review, our WIC program, which is the Federal Women, Infant, and Children's Nutrition Program, requires a nutritionist to deliver the nutrition services and the assessments. We do not have our own nutritionist for this very part-time work, even if we could find one. So that's also the challenge. So we contract with Synergy Health and Wellness to deliver those services. It has a description in the scope of work, but in general, hit just a few of the bulleted points, which is using the state system to identify and provide client intervention and deal with the plan to assist them with nutrition for their family and infant. They do some lab values and share those with folks in a way that they're able to understand them. Provide some copies of handouts and or links to information from their website and ours soon on what's available and what resources they could look at locally and elsewhere. And they can also now do some video consultation with folks, so they don't necessarily have to come in for all their visits, although there is some required each year. So this agreement is for $25,000, $25,500, and runs from February 1, 2026, so retroactive, and ends in January 31 of 2027. There is not a gap in services while we have our contract under development.
All right.
I'm in full support. I think this is a great solution to not a service we need that is just better done by a contractor in this case.
Agreed.
Agree. Yeah, it's a great service, and I agree with contracting it.
Okay, ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, in consideration of a professional services agreement number 25/26-010 with Synergy Health and Wellness for WIC Nutritionist and Training Supervisor Services, I move approval.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Marlene. You're up again.
You.
Agenda item 11, consideration of a memorandum of agreement with Halem Bay United Methodist Church for harm reduction site services. Marlene, once again.
Yes, we're happy to have this partnership with Nehalem Bay United Methodist Church. We needed a new location for our North County harm reduction site to be able to deliver services, and they have agreed to work with us. They basically are providing space or reserving that for our team's use and our community partners who also work at that site on the third Thursday of every month from 11 to 1. And then, assuming we're able to be there, they're still going to reserve it for us. There's no funds exchanged in this agreement. Our part of the work is to do the education, information, screening, be accessible, and assist people if they are interested in referral to substance use disorder or OUD treatment services, to do any screening that we need to in that referral, and then a few more things like provide disposal on site of any waste, provide staff and support and direct contact so that the church folks know where we are and what we're doing, and then to make sure we have our mobile unit there and set up and ready to go so we're not bugging folks there for supplies and so forth. So again, really appreciate this partnership via a memorandum of understanding.
Okay, great. Sounds like a great partnership. Commissioner Scar?
Great partnership. We have these harm reduction sites in a number of places throughout the county. North County it's great that we're able to serve up there. The Nehalem United Methodist Church also does emergency food work and some other pieces, so they are already a gathering place for social services in that area, and it's great to be able to add this to it. I've spoken passionately many times about opioids in our community and how people get started and what it takes to get off them, so I won't repeat that today, but it is an important service, and if you have questions about harm reduction, please don't hesitate. I'd be happy to talk with you at length, as would others at the health department.
Fantastic. Commissioner Bell?
I'm fully supportive also.
I am as well. I'm ready for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, in consideration of a memorandum of agreement with the Nehalem Bay United Methodist Church for harm reduction site services, I move approval.
I second.
Okay, having a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you,
Thank you,
commissioners.
Marlene.
Thank you, Marlene. Now it's Dan's turn. Agenda item 12, consideration of an order in the matter of reappointment of a member to the Tillamook County Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Dan Keyes, Director, Parks Department. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it. So the Parks Department has an advisory committee made up of 8 members. They provide us lots of great feedback and ideas about a great number of park-related issues. We rely on them a lot. We've got many members who have served for quite some time, including Larry. I wrote him to see how long he had served, but I didn't get a response, but I know it's been quite a while. So we value him, and what happened is on January 7th, his term expired, and we need to fill that position. He has since said that he would like to be reappointed, so we're bringing him back before you today for that request. I talked to him just yesterday at the meeting. He really loves the work that he does on the Park Advisory Committee, and again, we value his service, and we hope that you reappoint him for another term.
Great. Commissioner Bell, I know you're going to say something about this, and you're going to say something about the other night.
Yeah, I am. Oh, yes. So I was at the Parks Advisory Committee meeting with Dan yesterday, and it is a really dynamic group, and I'm very grateful for their service, grateful for all the volunteers at the county, of course, but the Parks Advisory Committee it's just plain fun group. And as Dan said, there are some people there who may have been there for 20 years or more, and they're just passionate about parks. And so we had such a good conversation yesterday with a member of the community who came in to talk about some observations and concerns, and it was a really great exchange that I think will be fruitful in the future. And I was thinking in that meeting, this is so important. This process is so important. And I'm really grateful that Larry is willing to continue. And when we're done with this, then I'd like to go back.
Sure, you bet. Commissioner Scar, anything to add?
Just, I agree with my colleague and appreciate Larry very much for his continued volunteerism.
I would agree, and we can't do this work without all these amazing volunteers that we have. So thank you, and yes, we support that, so we will, let's go ahead and go for a motion on this one.
Mr. Chair, in consideration of an order in the matter of the reappointment of a member to the Tillamook County Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, I move approval.
I second.
Okay, hearing motion in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Commissioner Bell.
I'd just like to congratulate Dan for his recognition, the Tillamook County Parks recognition. On Friday night, the Tillamook Coast Visitors Association had their annual tourism banquet, and Dan and his wife and the parks team were there, and they were honored as tourism leaders. Now I've forgotten
Community, it was
the whole
community
title.
leaders.
No, it was leaders and tourism leaders.
Dan.
Sorry, Dan. Please.
It was I thought it was
We know
community
what you
leader.
mean.
So leader was in the honor, and
Sorry, I missed it.
but it was really great because Tillamook County Parks hasn't always been considered a leader in tourism, which of course they are. And you know, we have people come from all over the country, all over the world to camp on Tillamook County beaches. And our facilities are great, our services are great. A lot of people use them and appreciate them, and you know, we've seen considerable improvements in those services since Dan came on. So it was a well-deserved honor, and really nice to see parks recognized in that way. Did you find it?
I'm just finding about all the awards that Tillamook Coast is giving out. So, no.
Okay. So, but it was really nice, and so thanks for being there and for bringing the team. And Dan gave a nice speech. It was good.
Yeah, I was there and was lucky to see that as well. And I just wanted to say this, Dan, I think in addition to everything Commissioner Bell said, what I really admire about you is the way that when you stepped into that role, how you built your team. Like you have a solid team. And I love that you brought them up there for recognition. And you always include them and speak highly of them. So I think that's one of my favorite things about what you've done at the parks is created a space for those folks that really thrive.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, I agree with my colleagues.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to agenda item 13. Consideration of a state of Oregon relinquishment deed for parcels of land lying on the southwest quarter of Section 15, Township 1 South, Range 10 West, Tillamook County, Oregon. Chris Lady, Public Works Director. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. This relates to Dick Creek that was, it's on Bay Ocean Road. Because the guardrails associated with the bridge end up being wider than normally, it's just normal for a bridge, that causes the road to widen a little bit. So it goes outside of the, some of the soil supporting the road goes outside the right of way. So ODOT had acquired permanent slope easements from the adjacent landowners. The project is done and they are giving the permanent easement, the slope easements, back to the county. So ODOT buys the easement and then they give it to us. So this is just us adopting or taking over that permanent easement.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
I just drove over that bridge yesterday. I appreciate it, and I'm in support. So I'm ready for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, in consideration of a state of Oregon relinquishment deed for parcels of land lying in the southwest quarter of Section 15, Township 1, South Range 10 West, Tillamook County, Oregon, I move approval.
Second.
Okay, having a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Chris, you're up again. Agenda item 14, consideration of amendment number 1. Oregon Department of Transportation delivered federal project agreement for the Sand Creek, Sand Lake Road, Atkinson Bridge number 11328A project.
All right, so this
Did you stop
bridge
laughing?
is that's a lot of this bridge is located on Sand Lake Road just north of Galloway, which is the entrance to the Sand Lake recreational area. It was built in 1973. In 2016 we did a scour repair project on that. After that, the federal highway, so any bridge that's 20 feet and larger is on the National Bridge Inventory. The the scoring system, the rating system for how you review the bridge changed through that process. So the scoring on that bridge was actually low because of scour. That rippled into the foundations, to the abutment, into the deck, et cetera. So as we had contracted with ODOT to start performing the design and construction work on that, we kept scratching our heads as why is this bridge rated so low? So we asked ODOT, and ODOT was asking us. So they went back into the rating analysis and identified that the issue was a resulting change in how it was originally rated, and the taking credit for the 2016 scour repairs that we did. The rating on this bridge is actually much higher than was originally identified when this went out for competitive money with everybody else. So we are asking, and ODOT is asking, to remove this bridge from the design component. So because it was an error in how it was calculated to receive money in the first place. So what this does is essentially revoke the contract for the design and construction services associated with the Atkinson Bridge based on an error in the rating analysis for the National Bridge Inventory.
Okay. I don't have any questions. Do you?
Oh, one less bridge we have to replace, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's still a bridge. We just don't have to repair it or replace it.
All right.
All right, sounds good. Once again, bridges
Right.
and culverts. That's what we
Right.
talk about.
That's what we talk about.
All right, I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, in consideration of Amendment Number 1, Oregon Department of Transportation delivered federal project agreement for the Sand Creek Sand Lake Road Atkinson Bridge Number 11328A project, I move approval.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries. All right, agenda item 15. Chris wants a new backhoe. Consideration of a contract for goods with how do you pronounce that, Chris? Is it PAPE?
Pape.
Pape Machinery Incorporated for the purchase of a 2023 John Deere 320P backhoe loader for the Public Works Department.
So we have a number of equipment that is critical and key to our operations. Currently, we have three backhoes, North Central and South County. One of our 1992 skids, or 1992 backhoe, is currently in place. That 1992 backhoe is 8,000. Coincidentally, the 1992 backhoe is older than the employees we actually have working for the county. So that has 8,000 hours. These things are measured in the number of hours that we use, and instead of mileage. So 8,000 hours, that one is getting to the point, still going to be in use, but we anticipate that it's getting to the point where we're going to put more money into the backhoe to keep it in service than it is to actually go out, and it's at the end of its life, but we're still using it. But we anticipate that we will no longer be able to use that. A brand new backhoe is going to cost about $187,000. We had worked internally and says, let's find one that is either new or we find something that has low mileage on it. So we found this 2023 backhoe, 319 hours. So 319 hours versus 8,000 hours. So pretty, it's fresh almost. So total price on this, we went out and sought multiple quotes from a variety of different people. This one that requesting purchase is for $131,334.87. It's 2023 low hours. New to us.
Okay. Commissioner
We
Skor?
need to have, like we have the employee recognition, we need to
Yeah.
have the equipment
That is a
recognition.
great idea.
Just, like going through the years of service for each of these
Once a year,
vehicles. And
Chris will come before us and say, John Deere tractor number 3.
1972. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Just occurred to me because we often do talk about this, and we do have some very old equipment. So obviously, I am in support, and I always appreciate the work that Chris and his team do to find something that is not new and shiny off the lot, so we don't pay that extra amount, but that is, well serviceable and will be a great improvement for us.
And you don't worry about scratching it.
No, right? You're done. First dent's already in it.
Commissioner Bell.
I agree with my colleague, and I'm just particularly grateful to you, Chris. We were talking about fiscal responsibility in an earlier agenda item, and a big piece of our fiscal responsibility is the way our leaders shop for the equipment they need. And you do a great job shopping for equipment that's reasonably priced. And, I can think of over the years, the amazing things that you've come up with, like buying beams to build bridges and keeping a surplus of these beams because bridges are so expensive to build, et cetera. And used equipment with low miles that comes at a great price. And so your leadership is very much appreciated in that area. And also, I was thinking about when I was a new commissioner and I was your liaison, and you let me drive a backhoe. That was so much fun. I bet Paul hasn't had the chance. I got a backhoe lesson on a little backhoe. I got to dig a little hole and move
Yeah.
some wood around.
Rachel, when is
and
his
It
evaluation?
was
coming
a ball. It was great.
When's his evaluation coming up?
So Paul,
You're
Paul got a
invited.
backhoe lesson.
You're
I have not
invited.
gotten it back. I do appreciate that Chris and his team, they squeeze every bit of life out of these
Yeah,
equipment.
really.
It's actually, I think it's a public works, it's like a badge of honor, but there is a point when they need to be replaced, and this is the time. So I'm in full support. I'm ready for a motion.
All right. Well, Mr. Chair, in consideration of a contract for goods with Pape Machinery, Inc. for the purchase of a 2023 John Deere 320P backhoe loader for the Public Works Department, I move approval.
I second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Okay. Agenda item 16, consideration of change order number 2 to contract number 6614, contract for general services with Recology Western Oregon for the hauling of municipal solid waste, yard debris, and other materials from the Manzanita Transfer Station to the Tillamook Transfer Station project. Justin Weiss, Solid Waste Program Manager. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. So yes, this change order 2 to our Recology agreement, this is hauling mostly yard debris and garbage and some glass out of our Manzanita transfer station. So that is brought from Manzanita to Tillamook, where it's consolidated, mixed, and then shipped out for processing, usually in the Portland area. So this is a 2.4% increase for the different hauling variations we have with Recology, matches inflation around the time of the contract last year. And we're anticipating some cost savings with the glass hauling. With the new recycling law, we are going to be able to get reimbursed for transporting recyclables more than 50 miles. So we're still working through the addenda with Recology, where everyone's still figuring out the new law and the moving parts, but we're working with Recology to get those costs covered. And so that will be a cost alleviation for solid waste in the near future. And happy to answer any questions if you do have any, commissioners.
Great. Commissioner Bell, any comments or questions?
I do not. I'm fully supportive.
Supportive.
I am as well. I'm ready for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, in consideration of change order number 2 to contract number 6614, contract for general services with Recology Western Oregon for the hauling of municipal solid waste, yard debris, and other materials from the Manzanita Transfer Station to the Transfer Station project, I move approval. Second.
Here, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, agenda item number 17, consideration of change order number 2 to contract number 6536, contract for general services with Don G. Averill Recycling Incorporated for hauling of municipal solid waste, yard debris, and other materials from the Pacific City Transfer Station to the Tillamook Transfer Station project. Justin?
So this is a mirror agreement for Recology Services Manzanita, North County. Don G. Averill Recycling hauls our recyclable garbage materials out of the Pacific City Transfer Station. So again, glass, cardboard, garbage brought from Pacific City to Tillamook, where it's mixed, consolidated, and then usually brought to Portland for processing. Again, like the other agreement, there's a 2.4% price increase for the variation in hauling types to account for inflation. And we're not going to be able to see any cost savings with this agreement under the new recycling law because it's between Pacific City and Tillamook, and there's a 50-mile threshold for a lot of the reimbursements. But this gets our garbage and recyclables to the Tillamook area for further processing. And happy to answer any questions if you do have any, commissioners.
Okay, Commissioner Bell?
I do not.
No questions.
I don't either.
All right, Mr. Chair, in consideration of change order number 2 to contract number 6536, contract for general services with Don G. Averill Recycling, Inc. for the hauling of municipal solid waste, yard debris, and other materials from the Pacific City Transfer Station to the Tillamook Transfer Station project. I move approval.
Second.
Okay, and a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, commissioners.
Good day. Okay, next up, agenda item 18, consideration of an order in the matter of reappointment of a member to the Tillamook County Tourism Advisory Committee. Isabel Gilda, Administrative Analyst. Good morning.
Commissioners. Before you today is a board order to reappoint a member to the Tillamook County Tourism Advisory Committee, also known as the TAC. Jeremy Strober represents South Tillamook County lodging providers and has volunteered on the committee since 2014. And so this will be his 5th reappointment. And for those interested in the committee, the Tourism Advisory Committee is a 9-member committee that was developed out of Ordinance 75. And the purpose of the committee is to review tourism-related facilities grant applications. The committee scores and ranks and makes recommendations to the board regarding the applications and grant awards. This year, the committee was pretty busy. They had 18 applications to review, so there's lots of reading. It's a very active committee, and Jeremy's a very dedicated committee member, so we're very pleased that he's willing to be reappointed.
Excellent. Commissioner Bell?
Thank you. Isabel, indulge me for a second. For how many years have you worked for the county?
Since 2016.
Okay, thank you. I asked because I was remembering when, as a citizen, you invited me to be on the Tourism Advisory Committee.
That's correct.
And Jeremy and I were both on the original Tourism Advisory Committee. So maybe it was somebody else who got us signed up in 2014. But anyway, I had the honor of serving with Jeremy and the rest of that group of original volunteers from 2014 on. And Jeremy is extraordinary. He is so valuable in our community in many ways and on that committee. And you're right, it's not a huge job year round, but in terms of the processing the applications, for the first number of years, we got them in paper, and actually it would be, I'm not exaggerating, and we'd get them in big, like, reusable shopping bags, like this whole,
I recall that, yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of pages. So it wasn't an investment in time to carefully read through those and see how they met the criteria and weigh in and advise the county. So it's a really important task that these folks do to advise the county about our investments with TLT. And I'm just really grateful for Jeremy's service and grateful for your longstanding service in shepherding.
I remember sending you the application.
That's right. Thank you.
I am in agreement. Jeremy's great and appreciate his willingness to continue to serve. And just would remind people that we have openings every so often on any of these committees. And when we don't have someone willing to be reappointed, then we open them to the public. But I would also believe this committee should be, is it a public meeting when they do their deliberations?
It is, yes.
Yeah, so that I would also just let people know that if you feel like I didn't know this was happening and I'm not sure what it is and you want to know more, these are public meetings. All of the appointed committees and commissions of the county are public meetings, and people are absolutely invited to come and listen in, and many of them have public comment sections. So if you find yourself questioning, well, why do they keep reappointing the same people? Please come listen in the meetings, participate as a member of the public, and when an opening comes, we always look forward to applications and don't always get them. So
Visit Tillamook Coast manages the grant application process, and all of that information is on their website, the criteria, the applications, the history of the awards. And also, thanks for the reminder, we do have a vacancy on this particular committee. So Jeremy represents South County Lodging Provider, but we actually have an opening for a South County member at large. So if anyone's interested.
If you're watching and listening, we want you.
Great. Yeah, and I just want to say, I want to echo what you both said, but Jeremy's fantastic. I go to a lot of these tourism industry functions, and he's there all the time because he's a board member of ACFA, he's a board member of TCVA, He is a small business owner, lodging provider. That kind of knowledge and insight is so helpful to have on this committee when we're, like you said, it's not the whole year, but boy, at the end of the year when that impact of those grants that we give is huge. And it's really good that they have such a thoughtful process and talented people like Jeremy. So
Yeah,
I'm so
they-
excited he's still doing it.
And they have to evaluate the criteria. It's not just a project they like. There's certain criteria they have to follow.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, ready for a motion.
All right. Well, Mr. Chair, in consideration of order number 26-010 in the matter of the reappointment of a member to the Tillamook County Tourism Advisory Committee, the TAC, I move approval.
I second.
Having a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Deborah, you're up next. Are you ready all ready to go? Okay. This is agenda item 19, consideration of a resolution in the matter of proclaiming a resolution for supplemental budget adjustments in the adopted fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Deborah Jacob, Director of Financial Services and our Treasurer. Hello again.
Hello. So I'm presenting today the resolution for a supplemental budget for the 25-26 budget, following the required public hearing held on February 17th, 2026. This resolution recognizes unanticipated revenues and adjusts appropriations for grant programs, general fund transfers, TLT reallocations, and changes with DCD workforce housing and public safety. It also includes updates to the post-employment liability reserve, authorizing materials and services, and a $50,000 transfer to the general fund to meet budget law requirements within that post-employment liability reserve fund. The purpose of the supplemental budget is improved alignment of actual revenues and expenditures and stronger compliance with budget statutes, and timely support for priority programs and operational needs. With that, I request approval of the resolution approving the supplemental budget as presented and am available for questions.
Okay, Ms. Will?
Thank you. I'd just like to mention that supplemental budgets are a normal part of the budgeting process, that originally a budget is our best idea of what we're doing going forward, and very often that changes throughout the year. And so this is just us cleaning that up.
Agreed. It's a weird thing about government budgeting that, we think of a budget as an estimate, but in government, it is not an estimate. It starts as one, but we must absolutely match and things have to line up at the end. So the supplemental budget is just an important way that we keep all of our numbers in place.
And transparent.
Yep, and transparent.
Okay. I have nothing for you. Ready for a motion?
All right. Mr. Chair, in consideration of Resolution R26-002 in the matter of proclaiming a resolution for supplemental budget adjustments in the adopted fiscal year 25-26 budget, I move approval.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Okay. Moving on, agenda item 20, consideration of adopting county pay tables for fiscal year 2025 to 2026, effective July 1st, 2025 for elected officials. Rachel Haggerty, Chief Administrative Officer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Mr. Chair, if I may carry items 21, 22, and 23, discuss them together.
And then we'll just vote separately.
Yep, correct.
Sounds good.
As you know, the county has concluded the process and implemented adjustments for the non-elected employee groups as a result of two recent studies, the job classification study and the compensation and pay equity study. Today is the final step in a long process and series of approvals required to adjust the compensation for elected officials. Similar to the non-elected groups, the compensation study was also used to inform the recommendations for elected officials. As required by Oregon law, the Compensation Board must first convene and approve any recommended adjustments. It did so on January 17th of 2026 and continued that meeting to January 27th to allow for more public comment and Compensation Board deliberation. During the January 27th meeting, the Compensation Board deliberated on several recommendations and approved of the compensation adjustments presented by Troop and Human Resources. The Compensation Board also added a recommendation to provide certification and longevity pay. The Budget Committee met on February 17th. That is the next approval required by Oregon law. The Budget Committee also approved of the compensation adjustments presented by Troop and Human Resources and the and what was approved by the Compensation Board. Additionally, the Budget Committee approved of more specific motions regarding certification pay and longevity. The final approval of elected officials' compensation rests with the Board of Commissioners, again, as required by state statute. There are 6 adjustments that have been approved by the Budget Committee, and I will describe all of them, but only 4 are being considered by the commissioners today. The remaining 2 adjustments will occur at later dates. So the first 2 approvals, which are agenda item 20 and 21 for your consideration today. Agenda item 20 is consideration of a 3%. Oh, and these approvals are in the form of pay table adoptions. The first is a 3% COLA for all elected officials effective July 1, 2025, and that's consistent with the other employee groups. The second pay table adjustment, item 21, is compensation adjustments for 3 elected officials effective January 1, 2026. The treasurer, an annual stipend of $10,824, and that reflects the Board of Commissioners' recent adjustment from a 1 FTE to a 0.2 FTE. The district attorney, which is an increase of 8%, which equates to an annual stipend of $20,424, and the county sheriff, an annual salary of $139,830, which is an 11% increase over the existing salary. And those salaries are inclusive of the COLA effective July 1, 25. The second approvals, which will occur later, the second approvals today consist of 2 unique motions. The second 2 approvals consist of 2 unique motions, which are each listed individually on the agenda. So item 22 is a consideration of 5% out-of-class payment for Commissioner Aaron Scar, serving as the interim HR director during the period of September 30, 2024 to October 27, 2024. We've had a past practice, the board has had a past practice of providing out-of-class pay when commissioners have served in those roles. Look, have served in those roles when we've had a director vacancy.
Paul was just showing me how much he appreciates me with a smile.
Appreciate her stepping up.
And the last consideration for the board today is consideration of certification pay for the sheriff effective January 1, 2026 for an advanced DPSST certification in the amount of an additional 7% of the sheriff's base rate of pay. The fifth adjustment, which will be considered during the adoption of the new employee manual, which is slated for the board's consideration and adoption next week with an effective date of April 1, is longevity pay for all elected officials, effective April 1, 2026, and that is consistent with the new longevity pay provision that's in the manual for the non-represented groups, which is new. So the longevity pay for elected officials, it will be effective April 1, is upon completion of 10 years of continuous service with the county. That employee would receive an additional 2% on the base pay. At 15 years, an additional 4% on the base pay, and at 20 years, 6% on the base pay. And those values are not, those adjustments are not cumulative. Lastly, the sixth adjustment in this suite of changes is a COLA between 2 and 4% based on CPI effective July 1 of 2026. And this adjustment will come before you in the form of a pay table adoption sometime before July 1st. That is ready for consideration. The two pay tables and the out of class for Commissioner Scar and the certification pay for the sheriff.
Okay, should we be, do we do separate discussions on each one then?
What I was going to start with, if I may, is just that I will be recusing myself for the vote that is specific to my out-of-class pay, so I won't discuss or vote or on that one.
Okay.
So it's my recusal.
Is it okay for us to just discuss the
Yeah,
whole
however
thing?
you'd like. You can take them one by one or together.
Anything you want to say on this?
I just wanted to ask Rachel if you'll discuss how we arrived at the 10,800 stipend for the treasurer. And I ask because I mistakenly assumed that that what we would pay the treasurer would be 1/5 of what we paid the full-time. So now I realize I was mistaken in that. So will you just talk through that process?
So the duties of the treasurer have changed. And so just doing a calculation to take a portion of that isn't an accurate calculation. In preparation for the first meeting of this topic for the compensation board, I asked Troop, who did our other compensation studies, to prepare compensation based on a point to, they had already done the compensation for a full-time treasurer, and not knowing what the decision would be through the process and in the interest of time, had planned to present the compensation board with the one FTE and the point two FTE model. So we had the one FTE, didn't have the point two, so I asked Troop to provide a compensation recommendation for a point two based on the adjusted duties and the market. So they looked at the market in comparing our comparable counties and what they had, some of them have stipends, and came up with a recommendation. And so that was what was presented to the compensation board and the budget committee, and that was for the commission.
Thank you. I appreciate the explanation a lot because people have asked me in the community, and you know, it's just helpful for us to be able to say how we arrived there.
Yeah, it is a little different. So you know, with our pay table restructuring, we've removed, for example, the part-time. All the positions that were on the part-time, if they weren't truly just a part-time position. And so if we have an accounting part one, for example, that is on the absentee table, and we desire to have someone functioning in that capacity, that is prorated. They are doing, presumably, everything, they are capable to do the suite of those duties, but in less time. The difference with this is it's a different job. And so we went out to market specifically to look at what that would be.
Thank you.
I also appreciate you asking that question. I appreciate that question because I thought it was a little bit low, but now I understand what we did. I also, you know, this is all new, so we're doing it. We're figuring, we like to say, flying the plane as we're building it. Do you have anything on this, Lola?
I do. I just wanted to say a couple things because I know that elected officials' compensation is always sort of a hot button in the community. And I wanted to touch on that because I think it's better to talk about it than to leave it unsaid. So one of the things that we made a determination about in our compensation philosophy and in our strategic plan is that we wanted to be a workplace of choice for Tillamook County, that we wanted people to want to work at the county, and that we've been working hard to do that. And this started, I would say, even before I got here, with work that had been done by Commissioner Bell and predecessors, and together this board has continued that work. And one of the big pieces that we did, so we want to be a workplace of choice. And I also want to point out that the county has between 265 and 300 employees at any given time. So we are one of the larger employers here in the county, in our county. So when you look around and you say, how do employers employ people, manage people? What do they do with pay structure? All of those things. When you're talking about a large employer, and in our case, a union employer, we have 3 unions that we work with. There's a lot of complexity in the county and how the county operates. So I think that that's an important backdrop to the work that we're talking about here for elected officials. So in order to say, how do we compensate fairly across the county, we did our wage and compensation study, and we did it for everybody at the county. Those who are represented, meaning they're part of a union, those who are not represented, meaning they are management or executive service, and those who are elected officials. And the other thing I would like to just really remind people is our elected officials at Tillamook County are department heads. We do not have elected officials that are not, other than the treasurer is going to be our first one, that is not a department head and does not carry a full-time position here. Everyone else, elected officials, just like other managers and department heads, carry a full-time job here. And so as we look at wanting to be the employer of choice, we want to make sure that, and since the sheriff's sitting in the room, I'll use the sheriff as a great example, right? He was a longtime member of our sheriff's department. And it's really not fair for us to say we want someone to be a really good longtime employee and then say what we'd really love them to do is get elected to be the department head, but we're going to pay them less for that because it's now an elected position. So in order for us to get the best people into the best positions, we need to have a structure that compensates them fairly for being a department head, a full-time employee inside a county of nearly 300 people. So again, I know this is touchy. I know that people feel like When we are elected, it is for public service reasons, and it's very hard to basically ask for a raise for our elected officials. And I think an explanation is important. So that's the explanation. We are full-time employees. We oversee departments. We do really important work. We have career ladders for people like the sheriff, the assessor, the clerk. These are all elected officials who come up through those departments learning and becoming certified and being the best they can be so they can step into that elected position and continue to lead and to manage and to supervise and to do all those things. So I think that a 3% increase to keep our structure in line makes a lot of sense. I think adjustments like the one that is going to the sheriff's office are important because of compression. He can't make less than the person directly underneath him. So that means that position as management has to get a step up to stay ahead. These are important structural pieces. We are a large employer. We want people to want to work here. We want people to want to be elected and to lead this county. And to do that, it takes fair compensation. So I feel like it needs to be discussed. I've certainly seen plenty of comments out on Facebook in the last week since the Headlight Herald wrote their article about how government shouldn't do this. And I guess I'm clear that in fact we are hardworking employees and we need to stay within our structure. So probably more than needed to be said, but clarification is important. Transparency. We talk about transparency in our finances. This is an important part of the transparency.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. That is often difficult for people to say, and I would just say COLA increases, having worked for, I don't know, maybe a decade where we received 0.75 COLA increases when the actual COLA was 3 or 0. Thank you, Sheriff. And so that's one of those things where we decided as a board, we're not going to do that. We have to be competitive too. Throughout the whole, to your point, everything you just said, we have to be a competitive employer. The job market is different. When I applied for a county job, there was 40 or 50 people that applied for that job. How many people do we get apply for? How many candidates do we get that make it through the process? Yeah, 2 or 3 months. So anyway, you have anything else that you want to say about any of this?
Yeah, just a few words. I agree with both of my colleagues, and I'm thinking about COLAs in particular. That if we didn't give elected people COLAs, then the gap between the elected folks and the people we supervise gets closer and closer and closer. And the specific to the sheriff's position, I believe, please jump in if you care to, Sheriff, that I believe that there's statute that dictates how the step between the undersheriff and the sheriff and what it should be. And so that's really clear. It's a clear roadmap. What we need to do for the sheriff is clear, and it's set out in law. But with the other elected positions, it's less clear, so we try to work through it. But I have talked to a number of people about running for an elected position who are not willing to do it because of the risk, because of the risk of their careers. They don't want to leave secure jobs in order to do something that's not secure that they have to reapply for every 4 years. And there isn't a clear career path. So I just think you're right. It's important to compensate people fairly.
Okay. All right. I think we can start the motion process here.
Mr. Chair, in consideration of adopting Tillamook County pay tables for fiscal year 2025-2026, effective July 1, 2025, for elected officials, I move approval.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda item 21.
Mr. Chair, in consideration of adopting Tillamook County pay tables for fiscal year 2025-2026, effective January 1, 2026, for elected officials, I move approval.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, you can't. You have to read that motion.
Oh, right. Okay. Mr. Chair, in consideration of a 5% out-of-class payment for County Commissioner Aaron Starr for serving as the interim Human Resources Director during the period of September 30, 2024 to October 27, 2024, I move approval.
A second. Hearing a motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I officially abstain, thank you.
Okay, moving on.
Mr. Chair, in consideration of certification pay for the county sheriff effective January 1, 2026 for an advanced Department of Public Safety Standards and Training certification in the amount of an additional 7% of the sheriff's base pay, I move approval.
I second.
Okay, hearing a motion in a second. Any further discussion? I have one further discussion on this. I just want to mention that because we didn't really talk about this. What this means, folks, is if you're a police officer in the state of Oregon, when you graduate the academy, you get a basic certificate. As you move up, you can get intermediate and then advanced. And the requirement for a sheriff is they don't have to have an advanced. They have to have an executive. Is that correct? They don't even have to have that. Just a supervisory. So the fact that we have a sheriff that has an advanced certificate should be compensated for, in my opinion. I just want to mention that this is just, I had an advance, I got paid for it as well. So that's all I have. So I'll call for the vote now. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, thank you, Rachel. And thank you for the work on this. And it feels good to be on the other side of this.
Yes, it does
Right?
feel good to be on the other side.
That's
of
my
this.
board.
Wow.
My board concern is, boy, that's nice to have that behind us. And we'll just start the process again next year. Any other board concerns?
I just wanted to explain quickly to you both, and I apologize, I know we have a very busy board briefing, or I would normally do this at the board briefing, but we are in conversation around the Grand Ronde Tribe's request for some donation of Forest Service land from the federal government, and I shared a map with you, and I think it may have been a little bit confusing, so I want to describe how I got it and its purpose. So we are looking at the land that the Grand Ronde Tribe is requesting from the federal government to determine if we are able to support that request with a letter of support, and we're nowhere near making that decision. But the document that I shared with you was a map from the Forest Service that showed on it where the O&C lands are in Tillamook County. And what that map affirmed is something that the Grand Ronde Tribe did not know and didn't think was happening. And so I think there is some room for conversation in here that all of the O&C lands are inside what would go to the tribes. And O&C is the Oregon and California Railroad lands. Those lands are forest lands that are to be harvested in a sustainable fashion and upon which we receive 75% of the receipts. And so it is... it's 4,126 acres. It's not a huge amount of land, but it is a consideration as we are in conversation with the tribe because it was not their understanding that land was in there, nor was it our initial understanding. So as it turns out, it's land that is managed by the Forest Service on behalf of us. So the map that I shared, I also shared with Kelly Dirksen at the tribes, who is their timber person, just so we all have that same information for the conversation.
Great, I appreciate that clarification.
Yeah, thank you. I indeed was confused by that map, so thank you for the explanation.
Do you have any board concerns?
I do not.
I don't either. We have a pretty big board briefing this afternoon, so I'll just continue on and read that. The commissioners will hold a board briefing today, Wednesday, March 4th, 2026 at 2 p.m. to discuss weekly commissioner updates. This meeting will be held here in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 at the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. Teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607 #. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting at 10:18.